Today we're in the heart of Soho, and it was a sort of place, wasn't it, when you first came to London? I'm sure many boys were told this when you first came to London: don't go to Soho, it's not for the likes of you. Of course, everybody was intrigued, weren't they, by the sparkling lights, the seedier side of London. Apparently it was a dangerous place, gangsters were there, all sorts of, shall we say, unsavouries were in the very heart of London, in Soho. This was portrayed, of course, so badly in films like Murder in Soho. All the gangsters seemed to live here in those 1940s and 50s and early 60s B movies. So coming back to Soho today, it's strange to look around because it's very much cleaned up, a little bit more, shall we say, family friendly, but there's still echoes of the past around. If you look around, as you can see here to the side, it's the infamous Windmill Club, the Windmill Theatre, which started back way in the 1930s. And if you've seen the movie Mrs. Henderson Presents, starring Dame Judi Dench, you know all about it. It was her idea to introduce, alongside the then general manager, Vivian Van Dam, nudes on the stage. Rather shocking. They were nude, in fact, but they were not allowed to move. But sometimes the manager may let a little mouse or something run across the stage, which meant all the ladies had to run off. You see, even back then, marketing ruled. It's interesting, I've been lucky enough to meet a few former Windmill girls, and they've told me some amazing stories about their time working at the theatre. So many famous people came to see them, including the likes of Edward G. Robinson and, of course, George Raft, who, for a bit of publicity while he was making a movie, decided he was going to be dating a Windmill girl. But also to your side here, you can see, yes, another place which is now kind of infamous, if you like. Jack Solomons was a very famous boxing promoter. Yes, way back in the 1940s and 50s, he was the man that could make anybody in the world of boxing a superstar. And really, a lot of people owed their careers to him. And now, of course, he's got his name above a bar. So his name, in fact, does live on. Of course, there are other people as well, because this particular venue was also a rather racy cinema when I very first came to London. And it was the home of those naughty films that you could never go to see. And this particular blue plaque, which you can see here, is really all about a movie that ran for the very longest time in London Soho. Come Play With Me. That's right. The title says it all. It's not a carry-on, let me tell you. It starred the infamous, shall we say, art actress Mary Millington, who ended up with a terribly bad, seedy end in many respects. But for a while, her star shone bright over here in the very heart of Soho. As I say, it's fascinating when you look around, because even as the late 80s and early 80s came around, they tried to clean it up. Who remembers this now infamous album cover by the electro group from the 80s who gave us Tainted Love, Mark Almond's Soft Cell? They made, in fact, quite a few videos in here to try and shock the establishment. But really, Soho has always been its own worst enemy. And even though they've cleaned it up, there's still so many reminders, oh yes, of the darker side of Soho. As ever, I'd love to know if you've been here when you've visited the United Kingdom. What were your memories of it? Do you recall, of course, those infamous girls baying you to come in as you walked through? You wouldn't recognise the place now. But whichever way, Soho lives on in its history and moving forward into the 21st century. As ever, let me know what you think to this particular memory story in the comments below. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.